Okay, before we go on to 7.0, Mr. King has a special presentation for us. Mr. King?
We do. Ms. Hamilton, first of all, we have our kindergarten teacher here, Ms. Sandra Hamilton. And we have our Meadowlark School principal, Ms. Tess Toledo. And we have some superstar guests that I will help walk up here. Brock, Sadie, Cruz, and Juliet. Bring them all up together, the company is more secure. We got a little step stool for you. There you go, step up there. Okay. Here's your little microphone.
And I'm sorry, I forgot to let everybody know, these were the books that the kids created. They're using their sight words. They illustrated them and they wrote the sentences.
And if you can't see the artwork, it's amazing. You'll have to see the artwork. so what we'd like to do, first of all, we have cookies in honors of our special authors and readers. So we will make sure that our authors and readers get first choice of the cookies. And then we have some special awards for them. So we have some Stay Gold certificates for Julian. Where's Julian? Congratulations, Julian. And we have a special one for Brock. And we have one for Cruz. And we have one for Sadie. Would you like to hand delivery, Sadie? There you go. You're welcome. Thank you. So thank you for being here, parents. We know it's getting towards bedtime, so we appreciate your time and thank you for sharing your students with all of us. And the board appreciates it, I know. I think they want a group picture. Mr. Lito said if we can we get a group picture with everybody? That's it. No cookies in the picture.
Take the cookies and hold them up.
They can bring their cookies with them, it's okay.
Yeah. That will make them more realistic.
That's right. We want your teacher in the picture, don't we? Want your teacher in the picture with you? Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
So, no video tonight, so thank you for letting them go first. That will replace our
I'm sorry, guys, that we took a little longer than usual in closed session. We had several things that we're dealing with, and we actually even put one item for next time, because we didn't want to be out there and keep everyone waiting. So, we're going to move on to 7.0, public comments, recognition, and reports. This is the part of the board meeting where the public can make comments for up to 3 minutes each on an item that is not on the agenda. I'll go in alphabetical order. I have 3 comment requests, and first is Jackie Ayer, please. This is regarding CHSRA, the board meeting on November 15th. Thank you, Jackie.
Yes, thank you very much. I will be brief. I won't take the full 3 minutes. First of all, I want to commend all the candidates and the board members who were at the candidate forum on Monday. I asked the question about the high-speed rail, which you probably could guess. And the question was, if you're elected, what will you do about the high-speed rail concern and the proximity of the high school, and what do you think the board should do? And without fail, every candidate recognized the concerns with this development. So I'm here to ask if the board would please consider, or staff, or whatever's appropriate, please consider sending a representative to the high-speed rail board meeting. We have a rare opportunity. They're going to be in Southern California, or the rumor is they will be in Southern California for their November meeting. They haven't established the time, but the date is November 15th. And to my knowledge, there's never been anybody from the school district who's actually made a public comment at the California High-Speed Rail Authority board meeting. A lot of residents have gone down, a lot of town council members and so on. But I would respectfully ask if the school board would consider, or staff, sending a representative down to convey concerns with the above ground configuration of the SR 14 route. Also the above ground configuration of the E2 and E1 route, which will cause problems for Meadowlark. But since their preferred alternative at this point is the SR 14, please consider going, and I can coordinate topical issues if you'd like, and so can the town council. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you very much.
We'll take care of that.
Okay, the next speaker is Mr. Tom Costan. Tom, please state your name for the record.
Thank you, I'm Tom Costin, and I just want to let everybody know, I'm not here tonight as a candidate, I'm here as town council and resident. And I wanted just to give the board an update on the Safe Routes to School grant application that was submitted. For any of you that aren't quite familiar, the Safe Routes to School grant application is a federal and state grant, depending on the amount of money that the grant is applied for, that will bring infrastructure improvements for school safety, especially routes. It's administered by Caltrans, and it's considered an active transport plan. And when we say active transport, that means trying to get people out of their cars and onto walking and biking and equestrian and that kind of thing. Generally, there's two pieces to one of these grants. One is the infrastructure, and the second piece would be the active transport education part. In our case, since we were on limited time, we only applied for the infrastructure. So in case of Acton, we're talking about infrastructure to help get the kids from High Desert School to the library in a safe manner. So we have a sidewalk. So what was proposed was basically a curb and gutter sidewalk on Crown Valley Road, and that would go from the school to the freeway, and then on the other side of the freeway to the library. Part of that is in place already at the library. And that would be put in by Public Works, by the way. So this is ongoing. This is the cycle for this grant comes around every 4 years, or 2 years rather, every 2 years. So what we'd like to do is, hopefully with the help of the school board, is to continue on this process and bring up the issues from going from High Desert School to the park and Acton School. So for the next grant cycle, we'd like to include that route, and hopefully we'll have a lot more time to get a lot more details taken care of. So I just want to let everybody know what actually the program is, and we don't know if it's been approved yet or not. It hasn't made it through the preliminary stages, and it's up in Sacramento awaiting decision. Hopefully we'll know somewhere around January or February. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Costin, and I want to personally thank you and Jackie and Ruthie and Russ, all you guys that have worked on this, and your entire Acton Town Council.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Jack. The next speaker is Janet Demeter. Huh?
Demeter.
Demeter, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Next speaker is Janet Demeter. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I feel bad because this is a really wonderful group, and I haven't participated enough. So I'm Janet Demeter. I'm with Jack's Angels Foundation, which is a local homegrown pediatric cancer awareness, research, and advocacy organization. If you didn't know it, this area is home to a historic resolution that's in Congress right now. It's called the DIPG Awareness Resolution. And DIPG, if you don't know, is the deadliest pediatric brain cancer. Brain cancer is a leading cause of death in children with cancer, and it's one of the least funded areas of research. DIPG is the second most common pediatric brain tumor, and it's responsible for most of the brain cancer deaths every year in children. No change in 50 years in its terminal prognosis or treatment. Neil Armstrong's daughter died of it in 1962, but we use the same standard treatment today of radiation and hospice for our kids. So there's a big disconnect between the medical research industry and medical care. In the emergency room, we take care of the dying first. We'll send the child, make sure they get to the children's hospital, whatever they need. Completely different in medical research, unfortunately. It's governed first and foremost by profits and numbers, and for a good reason. But however, all this bill does is it draws attention to the deadly statistics, the neglect really of pediatric cancer research, and it simply asks that pediatric and high-risk cancers have greater consideration in our medical research industry, especially with our government funds, which traditionally are there for the underserved and those left behind by industry. So basically this resolution started in 2014. Our state was the first state ever to have a DIPG awareness resolution. It was because of Assemblyman Wilk and then State Senator Knight, who is now our congressman. And Congressman Knight introduced in a bipartisan way with Jackie Spear up in the San Francisco area this resolution in Congress twice. It's been there for 3 years now in committee with no action. so we're launching a final campaign to try to get it a House vote. And all of this information is public, all this advocacy information is public, but I wanted to bring it to the school board to let you know that we have a children's program for advocacy. I think that public engagement right now is really important for our young people to know that they have a right to have a voice in our democracy, whether or not they can vote. And it will provide also a pathway in the future. If there's an issue that they feel is really important to them, they'll know, at least they'll have a pathway, they'll know what to do, and if not, they'll learn more along the way. But at least to engage with our representatives in Congress and those responsible. So at any rate, I just wanted to let the board know about it because I've told certain teachers and schools about it before the summer break. It wasn't fully in place yet, but it is now. It launches Monday. And I just want you to know it was available. I'll be putting it in the Country Journal hopefully this next week. And we're just encouraging kids to explore advocacy and their voice. And first and foremost, we like, I think this example is special because it gives them the opportunity to speak for their peers who may never have the chance to advocate for their peers. I just want you to also know quickly, and I'm going on too long, that last month, I go every year to the Congressional Caucus Summit for Childhood Cancer in DC. I go to DC 3 times a year to advocate for childhood cancer legislation, but this bill especially because we're the little guy and I call it the little bill that could. But I was the one voice for these kids that all died. To our National Cancer Institute director, people kind of cringe when they see me coming because I just tell it like it is, and I just think it's really important that we embrace looking at these things rather than be the country that looks the other way, because things can be done for these kids. Solutions can be found, but it can only happen with awareness, and if we all help each other together to find solutions for them. So thank you for letting me share about Jack's Angels.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Follow up.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to 8.0, correspondence, proposals, and reports. 8.01, AADUSD representative. Not present. We're going to move on to 8.02, CSEA representative.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
You're going to get a present.
Okay.
Present.
Really? This was a very blessed.
8.03, our wonderful student representative.
All right, so I put copies of my report under like the coffee. There's not that many, but in case anybody wants one, there's like a couple there. But I have a couple things that have changed, just to let you guys know. I'll say what they changed up. Okay, so at Meadowlark, they are finishing up a very successful Red Ribbon Week. Their Tri-Arathon was today, which students excelled in. Tomorrow they're having a PJ Day to end a very spirited week. And they also had student council elections this week, and the results are tomorrow. At High Desert, the 5th grade science Olympiad practices have been going on after school. The Dancing Feet competition team is having a pancake breakfast fundraiser at Applebee's in Palmdale on November 3rd. Tickets are available for purchase at High Desert for $10. The High Desert Cross Country is having their last meet in Rosemont this week before their championships, which are on November 1st. Good luck. And they're having their Halloween dance tomorrow night. At Vasquez, basketball and soccer are finishing up trials this week, and JV and varsity girls basketball teams were announced about 20 minutes ago. I made varsity. Whoop. And more announcements of the teams will continue in the next week. This week has been Vasquez's October Spirit Week, also known as Hallow Week, with spirit days such as Tombstone Tuesday, where students dressed up as skeletons, and Pink Wednesday to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Tomorrow is this year's last home football game, where cheer and football will be having their senior night. Please go support them. And lastly, on Saturday is Vasquez High School's yearbook first ever color run that everyone should come support and participate in. And I also put forms for the color run under there too. That would mean a lot if you guys went to that. It starts at 8 a.m. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent report. And we're going to now move on to 8.04, submissions. Do we have any submissions, Mr. King?
We have none this evening.
Thank you. No submissions. Yolanda, can you have the record reflect that, please? Thank you. 8.05, Mr. King, new construction.
At Atkins School, nothing is to report. As you recall, the handrails still need to be measured for 2 inches. As soon as that's done, we'll submit to DSA, and we should be all clear. That should be the last item that was in compliance. With regard to VHS Phase 3, it's gone extremely well. The last piece to that is putting in the sod at the high school. The only delay there is they need to do a soil check. So the roots of the grass need to take hold. This is our arborist, this is your expertise, your area, but I guess they need 3 to 4 inches of good soil that's not too compact in order for the grass to take hold. And so they just want to get this part right so that after the 90 days go by, we don't have grass coming up or not taking root.
It is getting late in the year, so hopefully it'll all work out.
That's it for new construction at this point.
Thank you very much. And then 8.06, Superintendent Safety Report, SRTS, Mr. King.
So on SRTS, I had a good conversation with Jackie here. I appreciate all of their efforts, as you said, Mr. Ford. She recently emailed Mr. Young, who's with Caltrans. My understanding is the visibility is better. And the crosswalks, you were saying that you checked this evening, and they did do the crosswalks?
On the northbound ramp, yes.
Okay.
Which they never had one there, so that's really important.
So that's extremely important. So they are coming through on some of those things. There was a recent meeting last Thursday with Public Works. Jeff with Public Works and Jackie was present. They talked about a gas station. A 20-slot gas station was being discussed. They didn't discuss it with the district as far as us having somebody there, but so Jack and I have these conversations where she's still keeping the district in the loop. If they feel it's, something that, like she stated earlier, that it would be helpful to have district staff there, then we'll coordinate that. But I think we have a good rapport with the acting town council and with Jackie, and as we did with Tracy Castan. So I think we have good communication happening, and we'll work together when it's necessary. So I think that's extremely important for the school district. They did discuss some traffic calming measures. None of the studies that they indicated that there was a need of a traffic signal, but that they did discuss putting in pedestrian trails as well as equestrian trails. So that's it for that piece. On the district safety committee report, I'm happy to report that we have the ALICE training. ALICE stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter Response, and Evacuate. So that training is going to begin Monday the 29th at 9:30 a.m., which is our normal administrative cabinet meeting time. So cabinet members will all be present, and board, that's the invite that you received is for that as well. So Kelly has graciously shared her certificate with me. She is certified ALICE trained, so she is not required or encouraged to attend Monday's training. And if any board members are available, you're welcome to join on Monday. I know how busy your schedules are, so if not, we understand. And then we'll continue that ALICE training as part of our November 1st and 2nd training, which I'll discuss a little bit more in the superintendent conference. That's it for the safety conference.
Thank you very much, Mr. King. And you're up again, 8.07, Superintendent Report.
So we are having our first annual Halloween festivities here at the district office. We have invited the preschoolers, which are right next door to us, and the transitional kindergartners, which are right next door to us, to traipse their way through the district office and receive treats. We will have most of our treats in line with healthy eating active communities as required by the state. Some of us may violate that. As I picked up a bunch of Snickers bars.
They don't want the blue line with Dr. Almonds.
That's right, yeah, no nuts. And So anyhow, so we're excited about that. Somebody commented in our district office staff monthly meeting when we were planning for this that she will be disappointed if she doesn't see all of us in costume. So we want to be there for our children and enjoy with them. And so we're looking forward to that. November 1st and 2nd is the second and third professional development days for our staff. We've invited classified staff to join us as well. They'll be taking part in the training. The training includes, but is not limited to, the ALICE training, faith training, which is free and appropriate public education. Our attorney is presenting on that, and you've spoken with this attorney previously, Connie Taylor from Atkinson, Nelson, Lloyd, Reed, and Romo. Connie's going to do a session at no cost to the district. She's coming out here from Irvine or somewhere far away and presenting to our staff, and I think she'll do a nice job. I've worked with her before. So that's very important in terms of special education to ensure that all of our staff are trained in meeting the needs of our students and their IEPs. The other thing we're going to be doing is tech sessions. 2 of our teachers are going to be presenting on technology, CPR and first aid training, and this is all as a result of the Professional Development, Professional Growth Council Committee that we put into place as a result of the negotiations last year and the new article we have. So I'm proud of the teachers, the work that they did. I'm proud of our administrators. They worked together to put these 2 days together. Please feel free to join us. Thursday, we will have box lunches from Quiznos. We will be sure to have some set aside for you. And Friday is what? Jersey Mike, sorry. False plug for Quiznos. But Friday will be a barbecue. We're going to barbecue carne asada and pollo asada for all of our employees. And Dr. Cooper's graciously accepted the invitation to help us cook along with Mike Arona. And we have a great group of volunteers that helps us out as well. So we're looking forward to that. That takes care of the training piece. I want to just comment on ELAC, which is the English Language Advisory Committee that we have at each one of our school sites councils. And DLAC is the District English Language Advisory Council. So I did go to the first council meeting at our elementary school. It was an extremely well done meeting by Ms. Tess Toledo and our English language personnel, Rachel Aguilar. So I'm going to meet with Rachel on my own next week, and we're going to discuss plans for our English language learners and those committees to work closely with those parents to enhance that program. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm rolling out the Superintendent's Council for Students. So I'm going to be starting a council to get input from our students. And as Ms. David pointed out, Ms. David, just you need to show your face when I'm talking about you. So as she pointed out, that I talked about the Superintendent's Council, and she actually brought it to my attention that this is a great thing in terms of LCAP because it aligns with our local accountability plan to say that we're getting input from all stakeholders. Well, our most important stakeholders are our students, so I'm going to be having 2 meetings a year with K through 8 students, and there'll be a select group of students to represent each grade level, including kindergarten, find out what they like about school, what they think are challenges for our school, what they love about their teachers, what they think are some challenges maybe in the classrooms. And then we'll have separate meetings for our grades 9 through 12. So I wanted to make the board aware of that, and I look forward to getting that input. Proud of our middle school sports program. Ms. T, it is amazing. So hats off to you, to Dr. Bice, to Ms. Dawn Snyder. That's just cross country, volleyball. What else do we have going on there?
We're going to be getting the soccer and basketball and track and field.
Awesome. So this is a great feeder program for athletics for our high school. So truly hats off to all of you. Thank you for doing that. The very last thing is actually for our reporters, who I think are well committed to our board meetings, Ms. Lillian Smith, Julie Drake, and Tim Reed. I see you sitting up front recently, and I don't know your name, so I apologize, and I don't know if you're a reporter.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My name's Roberta Gelmont, and I been in conversation with Lillian to sometimes help out, with, you know, whatever she needs, because I know
Okay.
she's really busy.
Well, thank you, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot, I just thought I see your familiar face recently, and and the only reason I'm commenting on the reporters is A, to thank you for your commitment to being everywhere, it seems all the time, but B, if you have a few minutes and you're here at the end of the board meeting, I'd like to just briefly speak to you all at once and share some information with you,
Great.
if you'd like to. So.
Yeah, no, I'm a retired teacher, so.
Okay, fabulous. So thank you. And thank you, Mr. Porter. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. King. We're going to move on to 8.08, board member comments. Ms. Jensen?
Well, first of all, I want to tell, if we can just let the kindergarten teacher know that was fabulous. If you recall, I said, what do I love about board meetings? I said I love stage performances. So I think that was worth coming tonight. I want to thank everyone that helped the high school at the Fall Festival. That was well attended, and they did a lot of work, so I want to thank all of our volunteers. The sports, oh my gosh, I know some students that are involved. They're in the cross country, and they are competitive. So I guess Zach won Andrew this afternoon at Tropico, so that was a big hit. So that was great. I'm really pleased to hear about the training with Alice and all of that you're going to be doing with the staff. I think that's so people know, you know, some of the school shootings that occurred, there were more fatalities because actually people did not run. They actually did what we used to do, which was to lock down. So then you're a sitting duck. So it shows you ways that you fight and flee and what you need to do. So it's very important. I know after I took that training, I really am aware of where I sit at restaurants and things like that. It's really amazing. So very good training, and it's better to be proactive. Heaven forbid something should happen. So good trainings. And I want you to know a couple teachers did approach me, and they're really excited about the training that's coming up. They feel that you guys have done a great job planning some really great, meaningful professional development. So that's great. So thank you. Also, I just want to thank Jackie, and I want to thank Mr. Costin. Thank you so much for the relationship that we have, that you are always keeping us aware of what's going on, and all that you do for our community, so thank you for that. And of course, I'm really happy to hear that we're going to be working with our ELs. One of the things that I've said as a board member, that I'm concerned that we don't do enough for English language students, so I'm happy to hear that conversation's happening. And as we are talking about LCAP, some of that funding source is because of the number of English language students that we do have, and so that money does need to be spent on those students, and others as well, but that is one of the sources of funding, and not to mention it's the right thing to do. So I'm excited to hear that's happening. So anyways, thanks for everyone doing the great work, and thanks, we have just great volunteers in this community, and it's been just a delight to see over the last few weeks. I feel like we've seen a lot of each other this last week, so that's good. So I appreciate that.
Mr. Falsgrave?
Julie, great coverage of the candidate forum, thank you. I'd like to remind everyone that ASMO, the music organization, has expanded to the middle school. But don't forget to get your checkbooks out and make meaningful contributions. I know that the middle school has its own program, but not everybody's going to be on the handbell team, and there are a couple of things I see. Dancing and acting, the ASMO, and tying together to give us some diversity in our arts program at the high school. So the Vasquez Fall Festival, I've got some names here: Angie Martin, Vicki Monahan, Christy Swanson, Becca Colfer, Bonnie Granger, Jackie Ayer, Mary Rice, Deanna Main, Michelle Becker, Christy Holly, Karen Jewett, Perry and Karen Bauman, Dan Andrus, and Chairperson Karen DeHammer. You did a really good job. I watched it happen as it was going. That wouldn't have been anything without those people. And of course, there's the ever-present, all-knowing Crown Princess of PTO, the omnipotent Lee Jennings. Yeah, you. Okay. It's just me. It's just there. Okay, serious time. I see that our work with the Acton Town Council, I think that in my role at work, I understand what a governmental agency is supposed to do and not supposed to do. So we have a parameter of things like at the school site safety. It's a known checkbox, so we don't blend out. And I'm used to an organization that has liaisons that go out, not come in, and the whole public comes in and has a free-for-all. So I think we did a good job with safe routes to school. I think it was a precedent, but I think what I hear Acton Town Council asking for is a consensus position by the board. Sometimes that's difficult if, let's say I have a relationship with someone in Palmdale that has a 250,000 person voter base that is looking at regional employment, and I really don't care about that. I'm concerned about here. In my mind, okay, now I'm going from safe routes to school to high-speed rail. Sometimes people tell me I'm obtuse. So make the move. I don't see why we're daylighting this up through here, other than maybe just to find an easier way not to have to haul tailings backwards. Everybody knows what tailings are, right? 20 miles back to the Cemex plant, call it fixing the environment. So I think what I hear the Acton Town Council asking for, and I'm not sure that it's appropriate to make this move till we find out who's actually going to be sitting up here, which may happen in December, depending on how things are, is the board willing to make a consensus position where we finally say, look, we are not for this as a group, and we're willing to make that statement. I think that's something that has to happen internally. Because until, and this is no offense to the Acton Town Council, but it is an advisory commission with no official voting standing, and it's a means of keeping the county focused on what might be good for the few of us here instead of what's good for the huge populace around us. So that said, I think the board should at some point, and quicker than later, decide whether or not we want to arm the Acton Town Council with an official position that says we find this unattractive. I think the idea that we're just going to say, no, I don't want to do this because I don't want to take a position, and it degrades in discussions about traffic signals and God knows what, and how we might be besmirched in the community for making minute decisions. But I think that we should be asking the board to give a position, whatever that position is, because the Acton Town Council is going to have more, and Ed, the AADUSD Town Council, if there was something similar to this, would have more weight, a better dog in the fight if there were children, and our responsibility to children as the school district to say, hey, this is something that very, very much concerns us. So I'm not trying to discuss this, but I did hear that message coming out of the candidate forum. Did I miss anything? Oh yeah, Lee Jennings. That's it.
Mike?
I have nothing to add.
Where is she?
They're working on the box.
That's not okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I attended the Fall Festival. Thank you so much to all the volunteers for the great job they did in putting that together. I loved it as usual. My family loved it. And we have added 4 new members to our large group of Vasquez goldfish family. That goes back about 14 years now. And on a more serious note, I attended the Acton Women's Club Candidate Forum on Monday, October 22nd. I was proud to see every single candidate for the board in attendance. I must admit that in my 10 years on the board, I've often felt that we sorely lacked public participation in the business of the district, and it is just so very refreshing to see that this apathy no longer exists, and I was truly honored to be on the 10-member candidate panel of such esteem, capability, engagement, and character. And it was a true honor and a highlight for me personally. So thank you for all of you for being there. And whoever ends up on the board, I think that the community is in great hands. It's just really nice to see people of such character and quality. And I haven't seen that before, so thank you to all of you. All right, we're going to move on to 9.0, and that's our consent agenda, which include the minutes of the regular board meeting, our warrant register, and this time that's it. So do I have a move to move in? Thank you, Mr. Falstaff. Do I have a second? All right, I'll take Mr. Fox. Any discussion regarding consent agenda?
There's not much of any questions.
Kelly, you're good? Mike? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're going to move on to 10.0, educational and student services. 10.01, dashboard, local indicators. Let's move this in. I'll move it in. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kelly.
I was going to call Dr. Cooper up to share on this, and he's in his ending of the third week, I think, and he has really jumped in with both feet. For those who don't know, he wears three hats that are really four: personnel, educational services, pupil services, which includes special education, which in a larger district is 4 different complete departments with clerical staff and so on. So I appreciate all your work that you've done in the short time you've been here.
Thank you, sir. And for those of you that don't know, I had a full afro before. So this information has in fact already been shared. It was adopted in June, so this information may not be new to everyone. But we have to get approval before sending this or putting these things up on the dashboard, which is the reason that we're sharing it publicly today. I can't move that. It may be a little difficult to see, but these are the areas that we found from our survey. Some of the information that is represented on this. Yolanda, could you go to the last page? Some of this information that is shared with you all. So this part may be new for some. This is the piece that talks about the survey. We did have some decrease, some areas that decreased, but Mr. King talked to you guys about having our students involved in a process, which I think is going to really make a tremendous impact on our results and our data sets. That's all I have for the local indicators, unless you have questions.
Any questions from the board? Kelly?
So just priority 3, do we have any data as to why the decrease? Do we have any comments or anything from our parents?
To be fair for him, because he wasn't here and it wasn't
would have to go back and see if I can find the survey that we used for the LCAP. I will say that I think it did coincide about the time we were beginning to talk about that needing to move the 5th grade students up to High Desert. So I think that may have colored some,
What year does this data
from
represent?
17, 18. This was when we brought the LCAP and we went through all the goals. This was in there actually.
So
And
17, 18 is like this time last year?
Yes.
Last school year?
Yes, so it would have been gathered, this data, as far as the surveys would have been gathered in, I think it was, we brought the results to you in our plan for LCAP development. I think it was around March 23rd. So the next week, and then for 3 weeks afterwards, we had the survey out for students. We surveyed students. We have the same survey, but it's a smaller version that we use for the students all the way kindergarten to 12th grade, and every student took it. And then the parents were notified via the messaging system, and it was on the website.
The only reason I asked what specific year is because I know that we had certainly a little bit of a tumultuous year. I guess it was just last year before Mr. King joined us, where we had 4 superintendents. The one that had resigned, and then 3 interims, and plus we had a lot of staff turnover. So I was seeing if perhaps that was correlated to Kelly's question.
And
Maybe
it,
why
yeah,
some
and it
of our
was
scores
unfortunately right
suffered.
around the time we were really talking in earnest about, all the changes that we were going to be making with staffing. It was about the time that, right after we had gotten the new principal at High Desert seated, there was a lot of discussion about what would we be doing with the students for 5th grade, so.
Lynn, is it accurate that I was the only attendee to the public meeting for parents the last 3 years?
That would be correct.
What percentage of involvement of parents, let's just say that one parent was involved for each family in the district, and say there's 2 kids in the district in each family, meaning there's roughly 500 people that could participate in the survey. What percentage of that would you say had responses either online or something measurable and meaningful?
I would have to go back, but off the top of my head, I think it was a little bit more than 100 responses for the parent survey.
So 20% at best.
And that included teachers. It was basically adult surveys, so parents, community.
So that
members.
runs the number of responses up, which make the number of people involved in it, which would run the response rate down. I'd be interested in knowing what the response rate was.
Bring it back.
The area that causes me,
I'm going to your question. Are you asking us to approve this for submission tonight?
yeah, it's an action, right?
It's an action.
It's an action
Okay,
item.
so
We
I
do
don't
need
know.
to have your.
Well, part of
approval.
your reporting in the future of this, I would appreciate very much that we would capture. I know it went out on robocalls. I know it was arranged on a night that parents were going to be out because there was a back-to-school night. I know that staff made an effort to have people come in, and I know it was non-confrontational. But again, I'm the only person who's been there for the public LCAP meeting 3 years in a row. And I'm not sure how much help I was. So that said, it would be nice if there were more meaningful involvement, but it's not a lack of your effort.
Right, and we also let them know one of the other things we do is we talk about the survey being released at the school site council and the booster club and PTA meetings. I mean, those are typically relatively small groups, but we ask to, for people to please share.
I think those groups are fully engaged. It's the meeting where people come in and represent their
Right.
different groups, especially the Title I kids is what I'm looking for. Okay.
What does LCAP stand for?
Local control accountability plan.
So what LCAP is basically, Lisa, is a process where the community gets involved with the district in order to come up with the budgetary needs of the district, and has their input into the budget and where they want the money that we get spent. And also it's an opportunity for a district like the things you see there on priority 6 towards the end of how our students and our parents feel about the district. The one area, Lynn, that causes me concern, and what I'd like to see perhaps some elaboration on in the future, I'm gonna support this tonight, but just like Ken had some concerns, my concern would be that if you look at 79% of students agree the district provides a supportive environment, and that's a 16, is that a 16-point decrease, or is that 16%?
Percent of respondents, and then with the students, the last 2 years, what we've done is given the survey to teachers to administer in each class. So
Okay,
every
so-
student that was present took it.
So just so I
Kindergarten to
understand,
12.
so just so I understand, does that mean that number used to be 95%?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay. So that's very high, number of students that agree the district provides a supportive environment. That's an incredibly high number. So I would be concerned, why did it drop down to 79, which is still good in my opinion, but it used to be great. So something to me, it seems like might have happened in that area where the other areas don't have any type of a fluctuation like that.
Did you say administering survey change?
No,
Okay.
it was,
I thought you said that.
Do we not give special?
no, it was the exact same questions. It was administered to all students in kindergarten through 12th
Both
grade if they
years.
were present.
Did we not give extra credit this time?
No, I remember, yeah, you put a smiley face, and just so you know, it's actually the same questions for 2nd through 12th grade. And in kindergarten, we take the questions, of course, they're not very good at filling bubbles, so we do a smiley face. You know, you're a smiley face, or a straight face, or a sad face.
Okay, because like, if you look at their safety, they feel safe at school, that maintained at 71%, which after last year's, events that I won't get into really, nationally, I would think there would be a decrease in that. So I would maybe just focus on that area of the support environment, and if there's those types of drops, kind of maybe elaborate on maybe the reasons and do a further study of understanding that. But other than that, I appreciate you guys doing that, and I wish that the public would get more involved. Perhaps we can take some, we can do certain things perhaps to get the public more involved, to be a part of this, because I feel that, it's important. Okay. Anyway.
Alyssa, to your point, this used to be a highly regulated thing where you had a lot of breakouts in the budgets and you would assign percentages and stuff, and it became very cumbersome just that you were constantly moving money around and stuff. So what the regulatory agency said was, we trust you enough to take a bucket of your discretionary funding, which is not the salaries and stuff, and move it around to best fit your needs. But the dashboard kind of says, ooh, you've got an orange area over here that looks like you might need some help with this. And expectation is that you'll assign some of your resources to that. And they depend on the public engagement to be kind of, you don't want the district assigning its own. It's like, you're watching yourself. So that's why this is really important.
Okay. Anything further from you guys? Okay, we have a speaker, Lee Holland, on 10.0, on 10.01. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, I took the survey, but I knew nothing about it. I only knew about it because my daughter told me when she found out from ASMO. So the community was not let know that this was happening. So there wasn't a reach out to the community.
I agree with that. I know students just thought it was for us. I had no idea that community parents were taking it too.
Thank you. How long has the LCAP been around? 2014?
14-15 was the first year of LCFF funding, and
Okay.
so LCAP began the next year.
So we need to educate the parents that they can come and participate and be a part of making the decisions in regard to how our budget is spent. That's it.
And community,
Yeah.
and community,
Of
not
course.
just parents.
Yeah, that's what I mean, community and parents. Okay, so any further questions from board members? Mr. King?
No, don't see any other questions.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna move on to business and financial. We have a public hearing for Eagle Collegiate Charter petition, and I want to point out that since a while back, we have a new standing board policy to limit the presentation. I'm sure it was communicated to Eagle Collegiate, like all our other charter presenters, of 15 minutes total for the presentation. And then there's a 15-minute period for the board to ask the board member questions. And that second 15-minute period, we may elect to extend one time for, as per board consensus. The presentation by the charter is limited to 15 minutes. Thank you.
Ms. Pattison isn't able to be here tonight. She's coming back. She's on her way back from a charter school conference. So I will introduce the team for Eagle Collegiate. I want to thank you guys for coming. They submitted their petition to us several weeks ago, and this is their opportunity to present the hearing, present their information that they think is most pertinent during those 15 minutes, and then the team can, you guys can ask them questions to clarify any questions you may have. And I believe that they also, I think they submitted some speakers. So I'll let the team come up and step away so we can hear from them.
Okay, before I start your time, would you like the speakers to speak before you or after? After, okay. Go ahead, doctor. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Donald Rymack, and I'm the president of the Board of Trustees for Eagle Collegiate Academy. And we would like to make our presentation at this time. The Academy is providing scholars with whole child education founded on excellence, authentic audacity, globalism, leadership, and egalitarian empowerment. ECA scholars are Eagles: E for excellent, A for authentically audacious, G for global, L for leaders, E for empowered egalitarians. The mission of Eagle Collegiate Academy will empower students to become self-confident, independent, egalitarian, authentic, lifelong learners, global citizens prepared for the 21st century careers and responsibilities. Our vision is that ECA will accomplish its mission through the following best practices: rigorous college preparatory emphasis, international baccalaureate programs, literacy competence for lifelong learning, teacher common planning time and teaming, diverse enrichment courses and activities for the whole child, and active parent and community partnerships. CCSA validation: the California Charter Schools Association works with existing charter schools, charter school developers, and charter school authorizers. Rigorous and thorough ECA petition review validated that ECA petition meets all legal approval requirements.
Mr. President, honorable board members, my name is N.D. Oblejo from the board vice president. We were here before, and we just need to let you know that we've addressed AADUSD findings. And some of those findings we've addressed. We've increased the budgeted cost in the last 5 years using the increase for funds from the local funding formula. We've increased audit services, repairs and maintenance, utilities, janitorial and trash removal, legal expenses, instructional materials. All this you can find in Appendix B, the budget. And we also made changes based on legal findings. We have a very simple and straightforward governance structure. We are a non-profit public benefit corporation. We have a board of trustees. Under the board of trustees, we have the board of directors, and we have the CEO. At the upper upper school director, middle school director, and lower school director report to the CEO. And we have teachers, the dean, the counselor, office manager, custodian, and back office vendor. Under our governance team, we have a very highly skilled, results-oriented, and diverse team. Our president, Dr. Remark, is a highly experienced educator, and our vice president is a pharmacist. We have a treasurer and CFO, very successful and experienced financial manager. And our secretary is a veteran educator, grant writer, curriculum developer, and author. And we have 2 directors, an attorney and a special education teacher. And our parent director is an expert in behavior analysis and special needs. And of course, we have vested local residents. Total team experience, over 200 in education and private business sectors. Over 90 years in education, about 115 years in business combined. And we have expert consultants, CCSA, Tata Impact, IB, YMC, and facility as well. We are ready. We have undergone board training on Tata law, including the Brown Act. The board, CEO, staff, parents, teachers, they've all undergone our IB forum attendance. And we've posted open positions. We received more than 500 total classified and certificated applicants. Interviews have been conducted. Positions have been offered contingent upon your approval. Office manager is already in place. Funding for startup is available. Facility is available. Application for IB is ready for submission. IB training for teachers available. We already have 398 potential students, and we have support letters from different community groups: Hispanic, Korean, African American.
Thank you. My name is Christine Figueroa, and I'm a board member. I'm not going to read it to you. I figure you're capable of reading it. We are a district board meeting. So the important thing is that we are ready to go. We have people that are stakeholders who are very interested. We get phone calls. We have people checking the website, and so we do have people that want to continue. We have support from the community, support from parents, and support from people interested in being a teacher at Eagle Collegiate Academy. Parents and community, we are looking at a whole system, a holistic system where everyone from pre-K through 12 is involved. We will reach out to parents that have more than one student involved and try to make things more flow better for them, and have them involved with as far as like dropping off and activities and things available to them. We are focused on providing good special education and employment for residents. We want to have the people from the local community be involved in the school, as well as, you know, sometimes parents and that sort of thing. They will be involved. The structure is basically like any other school. We will be offering language support in Korean, Spanish, English as a second language. I taught for 5 years in Korea, so I'm looking forward to that. That will be fun. Resilience training for students and teachers, and support for helping to increase the achievement levels of all our groups. And we just went on Tuesday to an informational meeting about the International Baccalaureate School and what's involved with that. It's very exciting. I like the way what's going on, and it did point out that International Baccalaureate schools score higher. The students who graduate from an IB school score higher and do better in college entrance and all of those sort of things, and go on to high school, and they have greater levels of high school graduation. We were looking at small class sizes and make sure that we meet all the requirements for UC and CSU universities.
So here is our facility, Dr. Johnson. Hello, we meet again. And that's the facility we're gonna work with. This facility comes with 3 parcels. It's got a private well. We plan to put a gate around it. And we're working closely with the County Public Works to make this happen in addition to the architect that is helping with it. Financial strength, we're direct funded. And so we get our money and we're autonomous. We will be autonomous. We have skilled grant writers, so we have met several times, the ability to be able to receive a public charter school grant, which is up to $575,000 once we're approved. And we have so many reputable people who are working with us, including Charter Impact, which you guys are very familiar with. Our budget is balanced for the entire 5 years. It exceeds the 5% that you require, and it covers everything that we need. And additionally, this time around, we added an 80% enrollment possibility budget just in case we under-enroll. But we are completely, absolutely confident that we will meet and exceed the enrollment that we're proposing. So, at the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs report just shows, if you look there in 2015, the kind of skills that employers want. In 2020, look at what it is they want. Again, I wouldn't read it for you, but you can see how things have changed. How does IB align to those skills that employers are looking for? So if you look at that, communication, social, self-management, research, and thinking, these are all the things that IB goes into great details to ensure that students are ready to be able to meet the 2020 requirements for the job workforce. So, as one of our members was speaking, they talked about the fact that IB helps to encourage college attendance. It helps to encourage them after they get there to stay there. So if you look at this chart that we have here, you will see that not only do all IB students do well when they get to college and they get enrolled and they stay, those from low income backgrounds do just as well. Now if you look at their counterparts that are not in IB and they're not taking the IB diploma, you will see again how low it is that they're not able to make it to college. And this is from the 2015 NCS data that is there, National Center for Educational Studies. So, here is what we want to show you the future looks like for those students who IB and PCA are getting ready to. This is what we're preparing them to be able to go and do. Industrial revolution, which has all these high technologies, what they can leave in that world as productive citizens. And that's why we're here tonight, presenting to you Eagle Collegiate Academy and asking that ultimately you will see why it is necessary for our students. Again, I will read this to you. You know it already, what the legislative intent for charter schools are. They are to improve people learning, meet measurable people outcomes, and ultimately stimulate continual improvements in all public schools, and charter schools are public schools as well. Approval requirements. Again, you know that. The charter school has to present a sound educational program, which we believe we do. The petitioners are demonstrably likely to successfully implement the program set forth in the petition. We've seen the skills and the experience that this team has, including those who are not here today, our teachers. The petition contains a required number of signatures. The petition contains an affirmation of each of the required conditions. And the petition contains reasonably comprehensive descriptions of all the 15 required elements of the petition. We're very resilient, this team, and we keep trying to be as responsive as we can to all the authorizers' findings, because we believe that this is what is needed in order to make this happen. So, Lux Fiat, that's our motto, and Stay Gold is AADUSD. So here we go again, trying to, see how we work together to make our world much better. And we do thank you again for your time and attention.
Thank you very much.
We just made it 34 seconds left. I did. All right.
Okay, you have two speakers with 3 minutes each. First one is Debbie Rodriguez. Please state your name for the record. And you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, I'm Debbie Rodriguez, and I would like to thank the board for considering Eagle Collegiate Academy as a valuable partner in education and choice for parents and students. I'm not at all surprised at the continued support that Eagle has with so many families in the Santa Clarita Valley, San Fernando Valley, Antelope Valley, this community, as far out in Cascade. There's 2 in Frazier Park. It's very widespread, and they are still determined to enroll their students into the lottery for the 2019-2020 school year. Geography, us parents, and I'm here on behalf of many who have already tucked their kids in bed, should not determine where a child attends school if it is not suitable for their learning style, and this is why Eagle is so needed and desired in our communities. Eagle has, as you've seen, the facility. They have teachers that are still on board and waiting to get started. Staff, they have students waiting, all waiting for your approval. Eagle Collegiate Academy is ready to empower students to become self-confident leaders and authentic global citizens prepared for the 21st century. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. The second speaker for Eagle Collegiate is Elizabeth Chislett. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Chislett, and I will be teaching art at Eagle Collegiate Academy. You can tell by the tenacity we've shown through this approval process that we are dedicated to the cause of giving our students the best possible school experience. The other teachers, support staff, the administration, and the school board, we are all a team that is ready to hit the ground running for the upcoming school year, so I'm asking for your yes vote so we can get started. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna start our 15-minute period of board member questions, and the board has the discretion of extending that by another 15 minutes if we so choose by consensus. Any questions?
I don't have any questions this evening, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jensen? Mr. Falsgraf, any questions?
Yeah, a few. First off, Ms. Rodriguez and Chisla, thank you so much. I can tell that you're very sincere, and I appreciate the number of times you've come here, especially Ms. Rodriguez. My stuff is going to be more comments than questions. First, it's my understanding that this framework of this petition started off as the Sulphur Springs District. It was denied there. This is your fourth appearance here. The second and third time you were here, it was denied. Taken to Laco, where it was also denied. And it's my understanding you did not appeal those petitions to the state. Is that correct?
Is that a question?
Yeah, that's a question. Have your denials, so let me frame the question so it's a yes or no answer. Have any petition that's been denied here and also been denied by Laco been taken to the state?
No, because we couldn't meet the timeline to do it. There's a certain.
Okay, so the answer is no.
Yes, and that's the reason.
Okay, so I'm going to make this comment. I am a gatekeeper of district resources. Our resources are mainly funded by our own ADA. The charter revenue, it really isn't constructed if you take a look at it, where there's a bunch padded in there so I can take some kids' money in San Bernardino and take 20% of it and scatter around. It's basically, it's becoming more about cost, actual cost recovery. And that's a statement I wanted everyone to understand. So when we come back here for the fourth and fifth time, I need you to understand that our staff is vetting this over and over. And so I want that to be known into the record. Your enrollment forecasts from the first appeal, or from the first petition we had to this one, I think you stated that you reduced your enrollment forecasts and projections for the first year by 20% to make them more realistic. So I need to understand this because, so let's go about it this way. You know your petition. So the first petition to us, what was your projection of students the first year, roughly total?
About 255.
So now it's 355.
So it actually went up, 355.
Okay.
Last year now.
So the idea that your projections were reduced by 20%, that's not accurate.
No, it wasn't reduced. What we did was, in order to be responsive to authorizers finding, what we did was create an additional budget in addition to the main budget. Should we not reach our projected enrollment, should we reach it at 80%, what would it look like? Because we had a robust conversation here the last time about what would happen if we don't meet that requirement, what would be cut, and all that kind of stuff. And I remember Mr. Fox, leading that, I think. And so what we did was create a budget that would look at what it would appear if we were not able to meet our enrollment. So we have both, actually.
Okay, so I'm not interested in the budget at all. What I'm interested in is the enrollment projection. So your enrollment projection has actually increased more than 100 students from your initial petition to us.
From the very first one.
It seems, so that seems to indicate to me that you think that there's more of a draw now for your services than there might have been the first time.
Which was about 2 years ago, yes.
Okay, so that said, I'm aware that the signatures can either come from teachers or parents, and either one is legal. And I've expressed this concern to you before. I think that your student base is not here. I don't see the projections here. I don't see these projections coming here, is I think if they were, I would find them in enrollment increases at our school, or maybe at the charter over there, but you may be thinking that your school is something ours is not, and I would even give you that. But I'm wondering what the local draw here is, and short of you having parent signatures in lieu of teacher signatures, I can't accurately gauge what that local demand would be. And I'm most interested, in fact, I'm solely interested in the local demand and servicing the local students. I think anyone reading the newspaper, especially coming very soon in the LA Times, will understand that I am not interested in what's going on in San Bernardino. I'm acutely interested in what's happening within the boundaries of my district. So that said, I'm just not seeing the numbers that would show up here. And even if those numbers did exist here, and everyone that was coming here was going to jump to your school, which could happen, that's called the program. If your program is far superior to the other ones around, that's part of doing this business, and I would congratulate you for that. But there's a problem with that. But again, short of me seeing some evidence in the petitions that say that there's a local demand for this, it kind of tells me that your demand, the big, huge part of your demand, and I don't want to use your words against you, but you're referencing the San Fernando Valley, you're referencing the Antelope Valley, and I don't doubt that there is a demand, especially for this baccalaureate program you're talking about, because that is fairly rare. I do understand that. But I would think that if your market is there, your authorizer is there, and that would be my comment to that. And then we're getting close here. I want to remind everyone that when this district was going into negative certification, LACO assigned a fiscal advisor to us. That fiscal advisor was very hesitant about us sponsoring charters. And I want, you can find this in seconds by punching AADUSD and FCMAT, FCMAT, into your phone.
And Dick Douglas, you're talking
Yeah,
about
he was the person that they
this is
assigned.
2011.
Okay. And I think if you look on page 14 of 66 pages in the executive summary, LACO warns us that saturation of in-boundary charters will create fiscal instability in our district in two ways. Number one, ADA loss due to competition, and that's no one's fault, and our ability to handle the pass-through revenue. So in other words, we give the charter their revenue before we get it back. So you have to have financial depth to do that. I'm not going to discuss what's going on in our overall charter revenue plan right now, or where that's going, but I will tell you it's becoming increasingly measurable to the point where if you're going to supply SPED services, it's down to full-time position equivalents, what you're doing here. It has to be really measurable because that's how taxpayer funding works. Here's what my concern is. If there is a threat to the authorizer financially, then there is a threat to the charter because it's, without the authorizer, you're not there. We all understand that. And next, if there's a threat by not meeting your targets that I can't see to be tangible, the thing that comes about because of that is a loss of educational validity. So we don't hire as many teachers, we don't have this, and I've watched a few of these unwind now, and it's unfortunate, but not meeting your targets, especially if I think they're aggressive and I think your base is somewhere else, I'm looking at this, and I only can blame LACO because they're telling us in the executive summary, on one hand they tell you you can't deny something to protect your own enrollment, but at the same time they've warned us numerous times that your fiscal solvency depends on you not oversaturating. We have a charter here. I'm watching very carefully the growth on their numbers and what their projections were. And I don't want to blend here, but we didn't authorize them, or I wouldn't vote to authorize them for a long period of time, because I need to understand that market is going to exist here. we've watched the school unwind in these boundaries, and we've watched parents have to go through a collapse of a charter, including my own daughter was a casualty of that. She's a big girl, we'll get past that, but I'm kind of sitting in the same spot. My questions aren't about your education. My questions are about your choice of authorizer and whether or not that school can actually function here without the detriment to both of us. So thank you for listening to me. I hope you can appreciate that. And I do wish you really, really good luck. I'm looking forward to the vote on this, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Falsgraf. Mr. Fox?
Yeah, just briefly, I do kind of, one or two of the things Mr. Falsgraf said resonate with me as well. So, and I look forward to staff's analysis of the petition. But one of the concerns I will be looking to staff is, it's terrific that you have a budget, a conservative budget that assumes 80% of your projected enrollment. I get it, that's a conservative thing to do, but if the enrollment figures have been inflated, which is Mr. Falsgraf's questioning with you, if you've inflated the enrollment figures over the last few years in the subsequent petition submissions, then the fact that it closes at 80% of that inflated number doesn't necessarily mean it's any more sound. So I'm just waiting to hear what staff says, and perhaps in your petition that's been submitted to staff, there'll be some some meaty backup to how those enrollment projections are how likely they are to actually occur. Because I think that's where, again, Mr. Falsgraf was referring to a school that imploded because I was one of the board members that said, I don't believe they're going to get the students, and they didn't get the students, and it actually did implode. So I'm just waiting to hear what staff says about that. It's terrific that you have a conservative budget at 80% of nominal, but if nominal isn't a number that's really meaningful, then I'm not exactly sure if that does what we need to do. But I'm just going to wait for the staff to make their recommendations. I do have actually one question. You can make me smarter on my acronyms. DPs in the nice bar graph. DPs.
Diploma, IB diploma program. That's what it DP is.
Diploma, DP.
Yeah. Well, the IB has the PYB, which is a primary year program, MYP, which is a middle years program, and then the diploma program, they call it DP.
Meaning the high school age.
Exactly.
But
Okay.
they also have a second where there's a combination diploma career
The
component.
CP program.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so that there could be like some intern type ship and working
Yep.
in.
Now I understand the
So that's like your trades program where
DP
Well, they can
diploma
do
program
both. They
students.
can be studying to go to college, but they can also be working in a field they're interested in.
I now I understand the comparisons. It's the DP students, the low incomes, the nominal DP
Right.
students, and then against the low income and the nominal students of the national
Yes.
cohort as opposed to the DP sub-cohort. Thanks. That's
A lot of acronyms, unfortunately,
Yeah,
in
that's okay.
education.
Diploma program.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Just for your information, we recently had a very comprehensive look at our charter policy. We had a series of discussions on the board, and we had one 3 board meetings ago, and all board members were had a lot of input, and we each had hours of input into it, each of us, and I think the staff was very receptive. You might have put a few people to sleep. I think Andrew and Dee might have fallen asleep. But I am looking forward to, we finally approved our new charter policy. I think I'm very proud of it. I think the staff did a great job. I'm proud of my colleagues for their input. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to see it put to use on this petition, and I have no questions at this time. Thank you very much for being here.
I'm going to ask a couple questions. Just on the educational side of the house and the professional growth plan. So, and that, as I recall, you had 10 days allocated for professional development.
Actually, we have, the way our calendar and bell schedule is done, we want to ensure that when we talk about collaboration time for teachers, we make it happen. So every Wednesday is going to be a short day so that teachers will collaborate. And so it's all across the year. And then, yeah, so we don't have 10 days PD. At the beginning of the year, before school starts in the summer, yes, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay, that's what I'm referring to. So, and have you rolled out an international baccalaureate program previously?
Have Eagle Collegiate Academy done that? No, we have not.
So I have. I rolled it out with a team of colleagues at Covina Valley Unified School District. The International Baccalaureate program is, it's very costly to roll it out, and it's very time intensive, and I know at some points we had to send folks even to Canada for training, and it takes an extensive amount of time, I think it's 3 years, right, for complete implementation, whether it's primary, middle, or high school.
Well, are you talking about the authorization process? How long ago did you do this, sir?
2010-11.
Okay. Well, the IB, they incrementally make changes as time goes on. We actually, like one of our board members indicated, attended a forum in LA. The board members and some of our teachers and some of our parents were not here today, but they wanted to go and hear about that. And so, it's not, it will not require anybody to go to Canada. Actually, IB allows your teachers to train online and be able to do that with, within their own schedule. And so there is a set of different kinds of PD that is offered, and it's up to the school to determine how to do it. And they give you 2 years to be able to do the PD. The authorization process itself, once they come and review the school, you become a candidate for the IB authorization.
Correct.
So you can
Yeah.
begin implementing your IB.
I just wanted to give the board an idea that IB program is not something that you roll out in a week or in 6 months. It's extremely intensive training, it's very costly, and it takes a high commitment from staff. So, and that's just one piece that we were looking at, the previous recommendations that staff had made, and that coincided with some budget concerns and some other PD concerns and the time frame for the PD professional development, professional growth plan that they had outlined in their petition. So, anyhow,
I'll just chime in really quick, and it's more than professional development. To be an IB school, and it's more than a visit. So it's very, very intense.
Well, actually, we do have an assigned IB developer who met, and they work with you, and they actually send letters, and they're willing to talk to this board if they want, or any board. And so it's not, none of it doesn't require time and, intensity and money, but they are also aware of what we're presenting, and they know that it's feasible.
Gotcha. I'll just reiterate the board's compliments to your time and effort and commitment. Your passion's always evident, so thank you.
Thank you.
And our top criteria for approving or denying a petition is always on legal terms, and that's the only way that we have to approve or deny a petition. So you're our 44th petition, including you the 4 times, as one. So you're 40, and we have 17 charters, so we don't approve every one. And the only basis that we legally have is whether there's legal grounds to approve or not. So that's what we focus on, and that's what the focus of our new charter policy that directs our staff is. So I'm looking forward to see the recommendation and take it from there. Thank you very much, Doctor, for being here.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
For your time.
You got it. Thank you so much. I commend you. Okay. We did very well keeping this on time. 15-minute presentation, 15-minute questions, a couple of minutes over, and that was your time. So.
The hearing ends at officially 9:28?
Yes. and at 9:28, and we started at 8:57. And why don't we take a quick 5-minute recess, and then we'll finish the meeting. All right.
Yeah,
Then we want to 12.0.
What time is it?
Oh, thank you. 9:40, we're going to resume our meeting. Thank you, Kelly. 12.0, future agenda items. Currently, we have student discipline, CAASPP test scores, ILEAD hybrid resolution, Eagle collegiate resolution, and Sciatech renewal hearing. Do we have any requests from our board members to add anything to this long list?
I would like to see the high-speed rail added, where we have someone come in and give us the basic.
Good one.
I'm not interested in an emotional town hall meeting in here. I would prefer, I'm not giving you directives, Tom, but you're the one to take it back. I would be mainly interested where someone could come in and give us the quick 1, 2, 3 on what the dangers are from a technical aspect and not an emotional aspect, and certainly not, conspiracy theory. And I think it would be up to staff to try to figure out when that is. I don't see board members who won't be sitting here if that were to be the case, to be the proper attendees. So I would have this after the board was seated.
Okay, let's, if we have consensus by the board, let's add HSRA to this list. We're good?
Want to call for a vote?
No, we're just consensus that we're okay.
I'm good.
You're good, Mike, to add high speed? Okay, thank you.
Did you say CAS scores next time?
We have that on here, and we will be coming back depending when they're released. We had that on previously. Most of these were on here previously.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna do it this time, but okay, so next time for sure.
Next time for sure?
She said, my understanding from Shay was that December because of the release.
Oh, so are we gonna wait for the dashboard? Is that what we're doing?
That was our thought.
Dashboard is supposed to be released in December. Okay. I think that's probably why she wants to wait, and it looks different in here, so.
Very good. Okay, then we have student discipline, CAA, SPP test scores, ILEAD, Eagle, Sciatech, and HSRA on future agenda items now. 13 is calendar. Our next meeting is October 25th. I'm sorry, our next, wait a second. Yeah, I know. No, I wasn't seeing these on here. They're in a different spot. Okay. Our next meeting is November 8th. Right, and we do not have one because of Thanksgiving on the second Thursday. And then the one after that is December 13th. So for the remainder of this year, we only have 2 meetings. December 8th, December 13th, and November 8th. And we're going to move on to closed session. We had a long closed session. We're good on reporting on the settlement?
Correct.
Okay. There was a settlement made with a student, and
although I would say you're going to get that before in a formal document, so you can wait until it's formalized. So we discussed, we had discussion, but you're going to take action on it when we bring it to you with the staff recommendation signatures.
to ratify it.
Correct.
Okay, then we can, we had discussions, and we will report out on that discussion and any settlements at the time of ratification.
Correct.
Okay. There's nothing else to report regarding closed session. 15.0 adjournment. Do I have a move to adjourn at 9:44 p.m.?
So moved.
Thank you. I'll second that. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.